I gotta check engine light because I broke the knock sensor somehow, taking it out. It's the only code I have. I've been driving it for about 416 miles-ish. I decided to make a video just because I wanted to say that I covered a lot of video on this car when I was taking it apart, and it totals to about 1 hour and 30 minutes. So I thought what I would do is just like post up the video when I test started it, and you know, basically put that up along with, you know, this video to show obviously it runs and drives good. If anyone's interested in seeing the extremely long ass video, I don't know if YouTube will even let me put a video up that long, but there's just so much that I did to the engine that I thought, you know, maybe if somebody wants to skip through it and look at what they want to, and, you know, don't look at shit if it's too boring, you know. But yeah, so cruising it. I was actually going to go up to where there's a curve down here. I'll step on it here. It's kind of cool. It sounds good. Slow down. It handles curves really well. Okay, this is my 1998 Honda Prelude H22a4. I am in the process of pulling the engine. Head gasket slowly starting to show signs. It's not out completely. Not gonna let the engine get to the point where it starts getting hot and having other issues there. Alright, so you can see started pulling it. Just kind of looking around the engine. I still have heater core hoses to disconnect, but it's a lot easier to lift the engine a little and get it forward. It makes it easier to reach back here and get the clamps that are on the firewall than when the engine is in. So that's just, I don't know, a little tip, I guess, if that will help anybody. I've got this heater core. It goes into the side right under the VTEC solenoid. So yeah, it's coming out. I'm just kind of looking everything over carefully. Axles are out already, so they're not hung up. And yeah, there's just a couple little things that are probably still connected to it, but that's my way of doing it. So, you know, lift the engine up and then look around it and see what you got and what you got to disconnect. Make sure that's not in the way of anything. It's a little bit easier too, people, because then you can kind of have somebody keep an eye on it at the same time you're raising it up. Okay, let's see. Kind of pain in the butt to get in and out of there. Most exercise I've gotten all morning, literally running back and forth. Who says mechanics don't get exercise? That's just crazy. Think about it, people exercise do sit-ups. So do mechanics. They get down on the ground, they get back up, back down on the ground, underneath the car, back up. You know how many times you're back and forth when you're trying to find the right tool to get a bolt off that's back behind the engine underneath the car? You're getting your exercise. Yep. Engine's kicking my ass a little bit here. I'm still trying to hang up right there. And now it's free. Woo! Victory! Now I get to tear it all apart. That is one oily beast. More oily on the back of the engine than it is the front. And my light is going to be, I guess it's not good. I know my front bumper needs some work, but I don't need to make it worse. Shit. It's like having that down lower, so it's not hanging up in the air like that. Okay. Almost 10 minutes. Jeez, I'm gonna have to cut that. And now, Say hello to the empty hole under the hood. It's gonna be some fun cleaning, but there she is, chilling outside the car. Alright, so this is everything. All the parts. That hold off. Transmission staying heavier than the engine itself. Back here, got some oil in there. The remain seal definitely was leaking. Cylinders look good. Over here, looks a mess. Everything torn apart is the head and the parts and the bolts that I am replacing because those are stretched out. And head gasket. So yeah, it's just putting the new parts all together. Okay, so here is the 28th of January 2020. I've been busy working and helping people with their cars and stuff. I went ahead and cleaned the surface up just of dirt, and I just pre-loosened this ahead of time. That way, I can just kind of take it off. Set that down there, and then this one, get that stuff out of the way for the water pump. And then that should just slip off of there. Should kind of set my parts down here, and a little nut that goes on the end of that also. And somehow there's a 10mm bolt that was loose down here. So I don't know what its deal is, but to make sure I put that back correctly. That one there. That's 1, 2, there's 3, 4. Yeah, that's all that holds that bad boy on there. Okay, that's that. And the old water pump should just pop off. Actually, I bet you that's holding it on right there. It's always those hidden bolts. Yep, that's exactly what it was. Okay, so what I did is put the rubber seal on the new water pump, and I got that cleaned up, and I just went ahead and sprayed it with brake parts cleaner and wiped it out, and then 1500 grit sandpaper. So pretty much it's just setting it right there. I'll make sure the seal isn't falling out, just like that, and then just bolting it back in place, and then that's the water pump for that. So I'll stop this down since I need both hands. New water pump in place, a new seal. Alright, so I'm just gonna kind of do this to show. I kind of cleaned this up a little bit, but rather than trying to use a razor blade and risking gouging any of the head surface, this is something I came up with. I mean, I'm sure it exists already, other people do it, but if you don't have a mill or way of using one, this head, actually, I'm going to just use 600 grit sandpaper and sander to just sand it smooth, make a better surface cleaner. So I sprayed WD-40 on it, just kind of lubes it up. And I've done this to plenty of different engines, and it works very well. It's not terribly noisy, but that's kind of, you can see it makes it really even. It cleans it up pretty easy, and I'll go over and brake parts cleaner, obviously get all the WD-40 off and make sure it's nice and dry and clean before I put it all together. And that is the remain seal all finished with the new gasket, everything torqued down. Now to move on to the other stuff. So I thought this was pretty cool. This is a tool I made for a couple Ford Explorer engines I worked on. This worked on in 2009 Mazda Speed that I worked on, and lo and behold, it works for the Honda Prelude H22. That is wicked awesome, because see in there, it is very tight fitted, and it is very hard to get anything in there. Definitely not a regular valve spring compressor. So I've got a whole line of those to do. Okay, those are the new valve seals, valve stem seals. That's all 8 of them on this side. Let's put the valves back in, and then I'll do the exhaust side, or intake side. Okay, so what I was doing here is just slipping the valves back in. As you can actually, yeah, you can see right where it goes in there. Just like that. Put that one in, and then grab the next one. And just slip that one in also. And so once I get all these in, then I can put all the springs and retainers in place, and then get them all locked back in. And then that's all the exhaust valves here, and then do all the intake valves there. Alright, this is what it looks like now with the valve sticking through. And I always put a little bit of oil before I slip the valves back in so I wasn't having issues with the seals. And over here are all the little retainers, maybe that's what they call them. And this spring here, you see there's 2 springs. Those go together. And what I do is I'm just going in order here to set this down. Actually, before I do that, one thing that makes it easier for me is putting those back in there before I set the spring on. So I don't drop them down in the head and then have to fish them out with a magnet. So carefully set that down with the tool set up here that I made. It's pretty cool. So you can kind of see in there what I'm doing. The other one, the back one, actually just happens to be dropping down on its own, which is cool. Let's see if I can do this. It's a little tricky, but just pressing it down carefully. Actually, got one in the back. It needs to be pushed down. And that would be that one, so and that one there. Okay. Now all I do is loosen this back out and make sure that it grabs and holds on the valve. And that's it. That one's in place. Now I'm just going to do it to the rest of them. This here is just me saving time spinning the bolts in, because the head bolts are super long threaded and it takes a lot to do them by hand, a lot of time. So I went ahead and did all of them already, and I'm just going to be torquing the head down, which I'm going to mount up the transmission first. That way I have something to help hold it, obviously, because the engine will turn otherwise pretty easily. Got 5 volts all torqued down. Got everything ready to go. Everything back together. And the transmission mounted back to the engine, which is a little bit of a task, but probably better with help. But you know, when you don't got help, you gotta do what you have to do. All the cam bolts are all torqued down. Kind of all over the place with this, but I've got the new exhaust gasket on, so it's kind of set the header in place here, and then I'll bolt and torque that down. This is the timing on the cams, both arrows facing up, and you got a line here, 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 those all got to be lined up straight with each other. They're a little off right now. The belt's not on. Okay, and then this here actually has a notch, and it has a mark there you can line it up with, but 12mm bolt you take out of the back of the block here. I have that bolt right here. That goes right in there, screws down and tightens. And there is a groove in there that slips into. This is just a little rod that I have. You can use the back of a drill bit also. Something that fits kind of snug and just helps hold it in place. And then on this side over here, there's this notch right there, and then there's the mark right there. You also have a line that faces to the left, and you have a notch here, and it's the easiest way to line this up. Pistons 1 and 4 got to be directly at the top for the crankshaft, and like you right here is a little chewed up. But basically, there's actually a part here which it lines up pretty close with, but if you want the true alignment, there's an inspection plug that's right above the H22a4, and it allows you to look in there at the flywheel. Let's see if you can see that. And there's actually, well, I can't really see that very well, but on the flywheel in there, the flex plate, there's a T, and you line it up with that notch right there. I know I can't quite see it too well, but that means it's right at the top dead center. So when you put the timing belt on, I'll grab this here, you want to route it from the left side. That way, when you wrap it around and you put tension on it, it doesn't misalign. It's timing. And then all you do after you got it all back in place is you turn the engine counterclockwise, the normal Honda direction, which is opposite of most engines. A few times you want to make sure you're not going to bump any valves when you're turning it, because it's easier to fix the timing while you have it apart than to put it together at the wrong timing, start it, then valves, and then you've got to take it all back apart. Okay, this is all back together and ready to go back in the car. Getting closer to being finished. Everything is done underneath. Got the belts back on, still got to tighten them up. But I'm pretty excited because it's almost time to test start her up and see how she does and take her for a drive. Been in the garage for too long, way too long. Take it to the car wash too, get it all cleaned up. That's one sexy ride right there. Check it out. It's been a couple minutes since I've driven this, and I'm super excited to drive it. It's freaking dusty and dirty. It needs a good buff job. I'm gonna get the garage door open. I'm gonna ride. What's up, YouTube? So here is the Prelude. Haven't started it yet. I haven't test started it since I did the head gasket and everything. And just gonna walk around it. Just nice to see it sitting outside the garage again. So all complete, has all its fluids in it now. Belts are tightened down. Double and triple checked everything. And this is what I like to call moment of truth here. Alright, so have power, everything's connected. Gotta put more gas in it. I'm gonna try to start it and see how she runs. This is the first start or attempt to start. Oil light went off. Started up the first try. Switch the heater on high. Oh, that way it'll help circulate, but alright. First start is a success. Sounds like I need some power steering fluid. Sounds pretty good. Minus the power steering pump. Alright. Nothing leaking under the car, that's a good sign. Alright. Now the next one will be test driving, and after I warm it up and double check all the fluids. My 2016 Honda Fit and 98 Honda Prelude, which the power steering noise has gone away now, and running good. All original exhaust. Anymore. It used to burn oil real bad. It's not leaking any oil. I'm excited about that because I had to add a lot of oil to it, and I don't think it'll ever rust underneath the car, for the simple fact that it's all coated with oil from before, and it's still burning off oil off the exhaust, you know, but it's a lot better. It doesn't smoke as much anymore, and yeah. I upgraded my radio's still the same, but I've got a Bluetooth device now instead of an auxiliary cord, which is how I was cruising. I haven't changed that radio. I know it's kind of old school, but it sounds amazing. Like, it's a really good radio. So yeah, I'll kind of get on it out here as long as there's no cars. Pretty excited. But yeah, just a little bit for a minute.